My name's Karin Medigovich, and I live in Waimea. I have a house there with my husband, and we purchased that in 2009. And shortly thereafter, I got a job at the hospital nearby, and I worked security there. When I moved here in 2009, I didn't know anything about Pioneer being right across the river from us. I didn't know anything about Syngenta and Monsanto and BAFS and Dow Agro. I didn't know they were all here. You know, you learn more and more as the days pass, weeks pass, months and years. And then all of a sudden you go to a presentation that a toxicologist makes, and he's talking about 60 odd pesticides that can be used at any combination at any time and as often as they want. And it's quite an impact. I used to walk my dog on the riverbank there, and I didn't know, and I let my dog go into the river to get a stick, or I didn't know the effects. My dog had bumps on her skin, and then the bumps would burst, and then they would go away for a couple weeks. Then after that, she had a few bouts of that, and then she started having problems keeping her weight on, and then it progressed. She would have diarrhea, and then she wouldn't be able to keep anything down ultimately. She went from 75 pounds to 35 pounds, and I had to put her down in May of 2011, so she lived for about 3 years here. She was a very healthy dog when she came. I think the thing I've noticed most, that I noticed first there, and I still notice there at that house, is that I'm quite a gardener, and my husband and I are quite gardeners, and we'd have like sudden die-off of stuff. The pollen's moving through the air, the spray's moving through the air, and then the worst of all actually is because of that big border, that big red, unplanted red earth, the earth is moving in sand. The dirt's flying into your home. One of the main things that they're genetically modifying them for is resistance to the pesticides that they use on them. And people tend to think that, oh no, they're genetically modifying them to be resistant to pests and weather and drought. They're not genetically modifying them to grow while being sprayed. And that's a really important thing to understand, is that yes, they are modifying them so that you can still have corn even though you douse it with Roundup or chlorpyrifos or any of these toxins that they use a lot of here. We're getting together, we're talking to each other, we're learning, oh my gosh, 30% cancer rate, that's really high. Not everybody has that. Recently we were just told, we have pesticides in our school at Waimea Canyon School. They don't have that in Hanalei, and some of the powers that be want to say, well, it's not very much pesticide. It's like, it's not very much. I think the biggest thing I want to say about how it impacts the community is the money doesn't stay here. It stays here through the people's pockets. Like, they get paid and they spend some money. But the $425,000 that they make on one seed, I don't know what percentage of that is going to a job, but not very much. That's going back to the corporation and back somewhere else. And so it's not feeding the community any food, it's not feeding the community any really decent jobs, and it's raping our land.